Hello everyone, it's Bernard here from the Almost Painted channel, and the new Ork Codex is here. The updated Monitorum field manual points are also here, so I decided let's do something different today and make a proper Ork tier list. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so before we start, quickly let's just talk about different tier lists, like the evaluation. So the S tier will be for me units that will work absolutely phenomenally in every single detachment. They are universally good either on their own or they get support from almost every other detachment. In the A tier, however, we will have units that can be exceptional in few detachments or maybe even in one detachment, so not as universally good but can get great combos going for them, can win you games absolutely. In the B tier there will be units that are universally okay, like they won't harm when you take them, they won't be a liability, however they are not as exciting, they don't get that many combos, basically good regular units. That's the B tier. In the C tier, we'll have units that can be good, can be great possibly, but also when used like without proper support or without consideration can be actually, a liability, something that your opponent can exploit or something that simply does not work with proper support. In D tier, however, there are units that absolutely don't work. Like you can bring them for fun, you can bring to try something, but usually their rules are either very underwhelming or like clearly objectively worse than any other counterpart or are simply broken. So this is the tier list. So let's start, and the first one is the Warboy. Now he could go to the C tier because he will go to the D tier actually. He provides you with nothing and he can give opponent easy kill points, victory points for assassination, so avoid if possible. You can proxy him as a weird boy, that should be probably much better. Then we have Kilakans, and they go straight to the S tier. They are a phenomenal unit. They are ridiculously cheap for the base stat line. Like, I'm not even talking about Dreadmob, I'm talking about them on their own. They have 5 wounds, they have toughness 6, they have 3 attacks with power claws that have damage 3 and hit on 4-up, so they hit as easily as Mega Nobs or regular Nobs with power claws, but they have higher damage. Absolutely amazing in melee, which is something you probably wouldn't expect from a Growth vehicle. But then they also have amazing, for an Orks, shooting, which is the rocket launchers. You obviously want them with rocket launchers. So D3 shots with blast each, also damage free. Like, they are in general great in dealing damage free everywhere. Everything hits on 4-ups. Then you obviously get the Dreadmob, which things get ridiculous really fast because they can, have +1 damage in fighting. They can have, it's +1 damage. They can get +1 to wound and +1 damage in shooting. They can absolutely destroy things, and they come in units of 6, and they cost, like, per model, it's 42 points, less than 42 points per model. So yeah, absolutely amazing. For example, the Mega Nobs, they cost 30 points per model, which I think is a little underpriced and it will be maybe possibly fixed. But the Kilakans are also raw stat line, absolutely amazing for, heavy support. Great unit, blob of 6 Kilakans is worth considering, honestly. Okay, now we have the bigger brother of the Kilakans, the Death Dread, and he's also a little better than people often assume, but he's nowhere near the Kilakan level. Like, first of all, he costs more than 3 Kilakans, and I will take 3 Kilakans every day of the week. But that doesn't mean I don't want to take him. Like, he's super cool. He has 8-inch movement, which is quite nice for a smaller Dreadnought. He's not really that expensive. He has 2-up save, so he can be a little tougher, although some of the wounds it's better on the Kilakans. He's not super sturdy like, I don't know, Redemptor with the damage reduction, etc. And his datasheet ability is forced battle shock tests at the beginning of a fight phase, which could be decent, you know, to prevent some stratagem use. It can be cute, but yeah, you can build him melee with more attacks or with some shooty weapons. Obviously, mix is probably the best. Like, I'm running mine with 2 melee weapons and 2 rocket launchers. Although I might change it to Scorchas just to make him a little more of an Overwatch threat. Although you can, which is a little hilarious, you can run him with 4 Scorchas. But yeah, he's just perfectly okay, or okay. Now, we have one of the units that was vastly improved in the Codex, Boss Sneakrot. Now, his points remain the same as in the data slate, so it's 85. It's okay, it's a little more than a regular war boss. He has similar stat line, though he has 6 attacks with damage to only AP -1, but twin linked. He's really decent in, you know, shredding through light infantry. And most importantly, he gained lone operative. You probably heard about it. This is an amazing addition. This is an amazing addition because the next unit on the list also has infiltrate, but is always in 10-man squad, so it's more expensive. Like the boss Sneakrot is your cheapest infiltrating unit. Now he gains lone operative on top of it, and his datasheet ability allows him, even if he's alone, to redeploy mid-game, which is amazing. Like, he's a great utility tool. Now, will he be always a great addition? I think yes. Like, there's no particular list that will benefit him more. Like, he's an epic hero, so he can't take enhancements. He can't really take stratagems anywhere. Maybe in the Warhorde you can put on -1 to wound on him already, although if he's targetable, I don't think he will survive that much. Although he's still a war boss, like, he's surprisingly tough. I'm putting him on the S tier simply because lone operatives are amazing. You can always add him to any list, just like a lone guy, like Orky, Khalidus Assassin, or whatever. Then we have the commandos. They are Sneakrot's favorite guys. And I will think, like, they still cost the same. They cost 135 points for a unit of 10. And I think this is their problem. Like, most people agree. They can only be taken in a unit of 10. You can give them all the fancy war gear. They have a bomb squeak, they have a destruction growth. All of this is fantastic, but unit of 10 makes them quite expensive. Like, for 135 points, I would much prefer to have 2 smaller units that I can put in different places on the board. And yeah, like Boss Sneakrot for 85 is almost dead, and he gains lone operative and stealth. Like, the commandos also have stealth, but it's worth noting. I think that the stealth part and the fact that they can't be they can't trigger Overwatch, I think they are surprisingly durable, with the destruction growth granting them another phase of 5-up invulnerable save. They just, you know, a big squad supposedly doing covered missions, which it's contradicting. Like, you want a small unit to go somewhere to hide behind a ruin, control the midboard, be an area denial, deep strike denial. 10-man squad will be easier to target. They don't have lone operative, obviously. They are good, but a little tricky to play, I would say. Or you can simply infiltrate them front and rush them forward. I'm thinking C or B. I'll probably put them in the C tier because Sneakrot just went so high. You probably want Sneakrot, and then you probably don't need them even more. Then we have a war boss, a regular plain war boss. He's going straight to the S tier because he's a beast. He's also dirty cheap. He's 65 points. He's surprisingly durable. He only seemed to have 4 attacks with his power claw, which is obviously underwhelming. But during the WAAAGH turn, he gets 4 extra attacks. and obviously all orcs during WAAAGH get +1 extra attack, so he suddenly has 9 attacks with a power claw. That's actually quite cool. Remember, WAAAGH lasts all your turn and all your opponent's turn, like one battle round, but that means that he can easily fight 2 fights with those 9 attacks, or 4 fights in the Bully Boys detachment. Like he's just great. He obviously can join boys, he can join knobs, he has great synergies with both. For boys it's mainly to give them some enhancements, and in the knobs then suddenly have -1 to wound. It's amazing for a 65-point model. His shooting is negligible. He has also 2 extra attacks from his pet squeak. You should always take it, obviously, which is, I don't know, nice when you're targeted by guardsmen or guns or whatever. Basically, you can't go wrong with him, especially for 65 points. Now we have the Devcoptas, and I love Devcoptas. I love Devcoptas probably because they were in my first ever starter set for Warhammer. They were in the beginning of my Ork journey, my Warhammer journey in Assault on the Black Ridge. They used to have a lot of cool tricks. In the previous edition, in 9th edition, they were actually quite amazing with the spinning blades and plethora of attacks with, I believe, proto sustain hits or whatever. Now, in melee, they are terrible. Like, they have probably 5 or 6 attacks a pop, which seems a lot, but it's AP 0, which is worse than regular boys, which is underwhelming, which means like they can bounce from anything. Anything with a 4-up save will be more survivable than you expect when you're attacking in melee with the Devcoptas. And if you want to shoot with them, like, they cost 100 points for 3 models. They can all have rocket launchers, for example, which is quite similar to Kilakans. And yes, the Devcoptas are a little cheaper and a little faster, but they are orcs, which means they are hitting now on 5-ups instead of 4-ups. They have less wounds, and they have a deep strike. The deep strike rule is cool. I've used it in the combat patrol version. I just wish they had scouts. Like they used to have, I believe in 5th edition, they used to have a scout move. It was amazing. Now with deep strike, it can be okay. I don't think they're overcosted. I think that their melee should, if their melee had AP -1 at least, I would probably rank them higher. But as is, you probably don't need them. Maybe in Speed Freaks they are a little better. No, sorry, I'm putting them in the C tier. In Speed Freaks they probably high B, maybe even low A. Now we have another unit with datasheet that was changed, the Mega Armor Warboss, and he received such a glow up. Like, he lost nothing and gained a lot. His rule was replaced. His rule used to be 4-up Feel No Pain. Now he gets damage free during the WAAAGH. Now, why do I say he lost nothing if he had his rules changed? Do I always expect him to get the enhancement for 4-up Feel No Pain? No, although you could. But he leads the Meganobs, and the Meganobs have his old rule that works for the whole unit. So basically now the whole unit have 4-up Feel No Pain, and your Warboss has damage free on his huge chopper, which I think maybe he should have it on a regular basis, but it's still amazing thing. He costs 80 points. He's a little more expensive than the regular Warboss, but with 2-up save, he's super durable, especially in the Bully Boys. But you can put him in almost any detachment. I'll put him in the A list, in the A tier, simply because the mech in Mega Armor also can lead Meganobs, and sometimes you wanna go with him in several lists. He's the better way to go. Now we have the Hunter-Rig. I don't like it. I'm not a huge fan of those oversized models that, like, they seem like a cool centerpiece, like, it's a very good model design wise. Like, I like the idea, I like the concept, I love it. Just in the game, when you have something that big like Triumph of Saint Catherine or Hunteric, I'm not a huge fan because they're a little unwieldy, they're a little cumbersome, they are even harder than a Land Rider to to go through the board, which limits you a little. But Hunteric is cheap. It's cheaper than the Battle Wagon. It has 16 wounds, toughness 10. It has transport capacity of 21. It's very similar to Battle Wagon. It has a little worse shooting, in my opinion. Maybe a little more attacks, but I just think Battle Wagon wins this one. You can put an art case on Battle Wagon, and again, it's unwieldy, and you can always spend some more points if you want the Beast Naga specific and go with the Killrick, which I think is better. So this one I'm putting in the C tier, but you already know that the Killrick will be a little higher. But you know what will be even higher? The Warboss on the Squigosaur. And well, he obviously lost a little of his defensive prowess while going down 30 points. But I think this is overall a great thing because he also gained leader ability. So he now can join a squad of Squeakhawk boys. And Squeakhawk boys now, well, they can be a bigger squad. So in general, I think this is a great change, at worst a side grade. The Mozrok, I think he suffers a little more from it because he was truly the, lone big threat that was super hard to remove. But the Warboss on the Squigosaur, he still has a 5-up, feel no pain. The whole squad of Squeakhawk boys, they also have 5-ups, feel no pain. He's, I think, tougher to remove. He can provide the whole squad with enhancements. He's, I think, super good. Not only in the hunt, detachment, like he is generally very good. The Squeakhawk boys are, spoiler, very good. So I think having one such a big unit that's quite mobile, very tough to remove, super durable, quite dangerous in combat, although not as dangerous as you may think. I think it's worth considering one in almost every list, but obviously it's best in the hunt, the War Tribe, and Bully Boys, because he has the Warboss keyword. So in the Bully Boys, his squad, so a whole big squad of Squeakhawk boys, they will have 2 turns of WAAAGH, which is amazing. I think he's great. I'm almost was considering putting him in the S tier, but yeah, like I might end up switching things a little bit. Mozrok, however, now he can't take enhancement, so you just take Mozrok and put him in the same squad. He has some different abilities, like he gives 4-up fight on death, which seems good, seems great, but it's only on the 4-up. That unit isn't really that huge and isn't really that killed. Like, you will probably lose let's say 4 Squeakhawk boys in a fight because they are very durable. That will give you ability to fight with 2 Squeakhawk boys. Is it really worth it? He himself, he has a little more damage, sure, but he's also much more expensive, and his Smasha, or whatever his big white shark squeak is called, no longer score dev wounds on 5-up. I think in this transition the Beast Boss should become a leader, while Mozrok should remain as he was, like a very big, serious threat, a lone beast, like this rampaging thing. He's still cool. Like, I'm putting him in a C. Now he's more of a low B tier. Like, he's actually very okay. The Squeakhawk boys is as a great unit, and having one Mozrok instead of Beast Boss I think is a good option, especially when you already put 2 enhancements on the other 2 units in the hand and you simply won't have a 3rd unit. Yeah, I think he's not that bad. He's only suffer a little because he's maybe overshadowed by the cheaper Beast Boss. You can obviously run your Mozrok as a Beast Boss, it's the same almost model. Okay, now the kill rig. This is the better hunter rig as I call it. I am still not a huge fan of it. It's only toughness 10. It has a lot of wounds, it has a very powerful torrent weapon, and it has some nice buffing abilities to your boys. It has decent melee and it's less than 200 points. I think it is decent, and in the hunt you probably should take one, especially if you bought the Christmas box or you won't have one thematic thing, but I wouldn't really call it that much of a competitive choice. Like, if you're playing with your friends, this thing is probably great. In more, tournament setting, it's probably okay, but taking a battle wagon and some support character would be net positive over this. Pain Boss. This is the cooler looking, weaker Pain Boy. I'm saying weaker because he seems to have the same ability as the Pain Boy. However, he can only join Beast Naga boys and they have already Feel No Pain. So he's only improving their Feel No Pain by 1 instead of giving total new units. He can't join anything like Knobs or all the other different support orcs. He is a little cheaper, like he costs 60 points. It's cool. He's just I mean, the model is amazing. The model is absolute perfection, and I will probably buy him to be a regular Pain Boy. But him alone, like, he's a C tier. If the Beast Naga boys had the same rule as the boys, which means that in a squad of 20 you can have 2 characters, he would actually be usable. But if you are choosing between him and a Beast Boss, like, he's still better than the War Boy. But now the next one is the Battle Wagon, and it's amazing. It's amazing. It's at least A. It's at least A. It may be S even, because it's 160 points, so it's 10 points more than the Hunter rig. It has 22 models transport capacity, 22 because the full squad of 20 boys can have 2 leaders, which is amazing. You can fit full unit of 6 Meganobs with a Meganob leader. That's another advantage. It has a lot of melee attacks, which is surprising to many opponents, and it has a decent shooting, and it can have toughness 12. It has free up save, but permanent armor of contempt. Like, this thing is for 160. It's super cool. Like, it's not a game-breakingly good that you want to spam this thing. Although it has a ton of wounds, like in Bully Boys or in the Green Tide you might consider more than one, but it's just very, very good. Like, it does what it's supposed to. It won't, skew your game against your opponent in any way. It's just very solid and at what it is, and it's an armored transport. Super cool. I think it will stay in the A tier, but yeah, you can't go wrong with a battle wagon. Now we have the Squeakhawk boys. This is another unit that changed drastically in the form that the knob is no longer a separate model, it's part of the squad. And I'm cool with that, although the knob has much larger base. I'm cool with that. The unit as a whole, so a knob plus Squeakhawk boys, is cheaper, though obviously you can no longer take 3 Squeakhawk boys without knob, so the minimum cost is a little higher, but overall they are cheaper. And they lost some of the rules that the knob was providing, like +1 to hit, I believe, or going to free up in the anti-monster, anti-vehicle, which is a little bummer. But they're cheaper now, and you can have them twice. Like you can have 8-man strong unit with 2 bomb squeaks, which are very cute, and you should never forget about them because it's always surprising for the opponent. But they just do the job of a huge, quite fast tar pit that's almost impossible to remove so well, and they are absolutely great in the hand. They're absolutely great in Bully Boys when they have simply 2 turns of WAAAGH, so advancing, charging, trampling, everything. Super cool. And in the Warhorde you can still use -1 to wound on them, which makes the opponents cry. They're amazing now. 165, I believe, for the squad of 4 now. A little less rules on them, which is not bad. They still have this rule that they ignore advance and charge modifiers, which is amazing. Like, there are many of those, and ignoring those completely is super cool. And they have 5 up, feel no pain, and they have toughness 6, and they have, I believe, 4 wounds a pop. They are amazing. They are almost auto-include. Like, you might consider them in almost every list. Not in all of them they will have a synergy. They won't have synergy in the Green Tide, for example, which can also be surprisingly competitive. But yeah, they are, I think they're at the top of the A list. Absolutely amazing. Beast Boss Bunker D tier. It's too expensive. It's basically immobile Rhino that costs more than Rhino. Like, it probably has a little higher toughness, but nope. Although you could put, if you have this, you probably should just use it as a regular terrain between you and your opponent. If you want to really use it, put some Lutas on top of it and shoot. Beast Boss, the regular Beast Boss on foot. He is amazing. He's honestly one of the best data sheets in the Beast Snagas in general. His ability, Bestial Rage, allows him to basically makes his weapons devastating wounds when he charges, which is important because his weapons already have the anti-vehicle and anti-monster keyword, which means that on the 4-up he scores dev wounds, which is amazing. Like, it really helps him chew through vehicles and monsters. And in different detachments he can have different abilities, different enhancement. Obviously he can have, for example, +1 damage, which is flat out amazing on him. So yeah, I think he's super good. Even in the Bully Boys detachment, he gives the Warboss keyword, so 2 turns of WAAAGH, so it's much easier to charge. But he's a Beast Snaga, so he needs Beast Snaga boys. We'll get to them in a moment. He's very solid Beast Snaga piece. I think if you run Beast Snagas, you should absolutely take at least one of them. But you don't always consider Beast Snaga units in every list, especially Beast Snaga boys, because, well, the Beast Snagas are quite high so far. Now we have Zodrok Ward Snaga. I absolutely love him. I thought I have him somewhere here, but I must have put him away. Yeah, I'm currently preparing Zodrok for my Bully Boys, although I was also considering him for the Dread Mob, where I think he's even better. I'll probably do a separate video on all the little tricks he can do. He is basically 80-point upgrade for your Gretchen, which sounds absurd, because Gretchen, there are 40 points per 10, or 80 points for 20, or 22, because you also have the run hurts. Zodrok gives the best set of buffs in-game period to the worst unit that can receive those buffs. He gives Gretchen -1 to wound, which is universally absolutely great thing. However, Gretchen have toughness too, so bolt guns, they go from wounding them on 2s to 3s. It's not really amazing. On the upside, there is nothing in the game that can wound them on 2-ups with -1 to wound, simply because how the game works, which means that, yeah, against Last Cannons, Imperial Knights, etc., they simply have mini transhuman, can never be wounded on a 2-up, which is cool. Against guard las guns, it can be a little helpful, but I don't even think there are weapons with strength too. Zodrok also gives them +1 to wound, which means that the one shot they have will wound now a little better, but it's strength 3. Zadrok also gives them Scout 9, and this is the amazing part. He gives them not only Scout, but also 9 inches, flat 9 inches of Scout move on a unit that you really want to use to screening, to capturing middle objectives. Like, you don't really want Gretchen to capture the midfield objectives, but being able to use them as a screen that also sits on objectives that generates you ACP, this can be a super useful thing. And you can take him obviously in a 20-man strong Gretchen squad, but you also can take him with a 10-man Gretchen squad, put them in a truck, and since truck is a dedicated transport, that truck gains Scout 9 inches with an insert of Gretchen, who may be very fragile, but they have OC2. And now they have -1 to wound, +1 to wound. And during the water, they have flat +6 to their normal move, which is amazing. And the fact that it's to their normal move, like during the water WAAAGH battle round, they have 12 inch of normal move. In the Dread Mob, there is a stratagem that allows Gretchen to try to do you some mortal wounds when you approach them, and then make a normal move. When you get close, like in 9 inches away from Zodrok's Gretchen super runs, they will move 12 inches. They can move in any direction. Like, you move on the middle objective, in the middle of the board. I just pop a strat and I move to the totally abandoned objective on the right or left flank, whatever. 12 inches normal move is amazing. I don't know if GW thought about this interaction, but yeah, it's ridiculously cool. And Zodrok himself, he fight like a regular custodian. So yeah, he's literally Guardian Spear. 5 attacks, hits on 2-ups, strength 7, AP -2, damage 2. So yeah, he's actually super decent. He also improves their leadership. So yeah, I think Zodrok can and should see play. I will definitely try him in different detachments. I don't think he's the super competitive thing. I think he's more of a gimmick, a surprise, but definitely putting him higher. The Beast Naga boys, they're as mediocre as it gets. They cost a little too much. They have too many rules that don't do enough. Like, they have 6-up Feel No Pain, which is like, I would rather either pay more points and have a 5-up Feel No Pain, or don't pay those points at all and have, cheaper unit without 6-up Feel No Pain. But the Pain boss, he's 60 points, so they're like, I'd rather take 20 regular boys, gave them a War Boss and a Pain Boy, and the Pain Boy is only 70 points, and they have now 5-up Feel No Pain, they have 2 characters, they can have 2 enhancements, and they are still cheaper. It's like, the Beast Nagas, they have the anti-vehicle abilities, anti-monster abilities, like, it's all cool. Oh, and Strength 5, It's all cool, but I don't really need that from my regular army, unless I end up facing knights, but I mean, they're not bad. They're just not as good as the Ork boys. We'll get to the Ork boys they receive the glow. We can do Ork Boys now. Ork Boys go straight to the S tier. They go straight to the S tier because they are one of the best battle line units. In the Green Tide, they have total support for that type of playstyle. They have high toughness, they have OC2, they have sticky objectives, which is amazing for a unit that wants to charge, because you're going through different objectives. You go from your deployment zone to the midfield to opponent's deployment zone, and you're sticking objectives as you go. They are fantastic. They cost only 85 points per 10. One of them is a knob with a power claw, obviously. You can have some special weapons like rocket launchers or big shooters, so not really impressive. You should never give them shooters. This edition, it's absolutely not worth it. And they are absolutely great. The icing on the cake is the fact that they can take 2 leaders. If one of them is a war boss, you always give them a war boss. And as the second leader, you can give them either a pain boy or mech if you really need, but you shouldn't, or a weird boy for some teleporting shenanigans. Ork Boys absolutely are great, and their change of their datasheet ability really gave them the edge they needed to be an S tier. Like in every army, bully boys, whatever, they will get proper character to get that army's support, like except of speed freaks maybe. But even then they can get the enhancement when you can, move a battle wagon and disembark 20 boys and charge with 20 boys with 2 characters. So they are still super amazing. Absolutely always start with 1 unit of 20 boys with characters and enjoy being an Ork player, really. Can't go wrong with them. Definitely S tier. Okay, now we are getting to the big boss himself, Ghazghkull Mag Uruk Traka, and boy, he is great. I mean, he's always been good. Now he's even better, and it's especially great considering how, for example, Lion was handled in the Dark Angels Codex supplement thingy. Ghazghkull now basically remains unchanged stat-wise. He still can only lead Meganobs, which, well, obviously it's a shame that he can't lead a squad of 20 boys, but oh well. He can, however, gained a sweep profile to his attack, so now he can have 6 very powerful attacks, or many smaller attacks. I believe it's 12 at damage 2. Like, he gains sweep with damage 2, which is amazing, high AP also, and his main rule gives now 5+ crits during the WAAAGH, which is amazing and work perfectly both in the War tribe and with Makari's banner for little hits, so he can be a real powerhouse. Obviously, Meganobs are better now. We will get to them somewhere later. Maybe I will just pull them here with Ghazghkull. But yeah, Ghazghkull is better based on his own datasheet and on the fact that the unit he leads is also amazing. I think Ghazghkull is great. I think he works in almost any detachment. I think he's powerful and fun enough to be, in my personal opinion, he will, like, for me, he would be in S tier. Objectively, he probably could be the top of A tier, because in some lists he may not be as great, but because the Meganobs are so universally good and work in every list, and you just want to have this powerful unit in the center, because they work so well on their own, I mean, without the detachment rules, I think Ghazghkull is S tier. And so are Meganobs. Like, this should be no surprise. These are absolutely amazing. They are super cheap, they are super durable, and they got phenomenal datasheet rule. They basically got the Custodian Warden ability, so for up feel no pain, but while Custodian Wardens only have it for 1 phase, so for example either shooting or fighting, Meganobs get it for full battle rounds, so 2 full turns. Unless you run them in the Bully Boys, where they get 2 turns of it, because, well, they are knobs, obviously. and they cost less than aggressors. They are absolutely bonkers good, just based on their datasheet. Like, they are probably one of the most undercosted units currently, because you can totally run 18 of them. It won't break your bank, and for the WAAAGH, they are basically immovable. Like 4-up Feel No Pain is ridiculous on the models with 2-up save, toughness 6, 3 wounds. It's getting it stops being ridiculous. It starts to being, a little broken, especially with the character support, because they can have 3 different leaders. They can have either Ghazghkull, as I mentioned before. They can obviously have the Warboss in Mega Armor, and they can have the Big Mag in Mega Armor. And all of those leaders, they have their own, merit strength. Like the Warboss is the cheapest leader for the Meganobs. He's great, he's deadly, he gives them +1 to hit, which is very important, because Meganobs, surprisingly, they don't have that much, damage output. They have only 3 attacks base, 4 in the WAAAGH turn, they hit on 4-ups, they are all power claws obviously, which is cool, but still, that's not like game-breaking amount of damage. Warboss helps with that, he gives them +1, he has himself damage 3, cool. The Big Mag in Mega Armor, however, he can fix a single Meganob in each command phase. And considering that they have toughness 6, 3 wounds, 2-up save, it's amazing. This is basically like it's apothecary for Terminators, who also can get 4-up Feel No Pain. And this apothecary, the Meganob Mag, can also heal wounded models, so it just gets like resilience 1,000,000%. He, the Mega Armored Mech, he got more expensive, which I think is, it made him a little less competitive for a leader, and I think that the Meganobs should be like 35 points per model, and the Mega Armored Mech should remain a little cheaper, but still overall it's a great unit. So the Meganobs, they obviously go to the S tier. They are amazing. Like, I think that they will soon have some points adjustments, and then the Kilakans may be even better. But for now, yeah, the Meganobs are great also because they work in every single detachment because of those different leaders. Because if the Big Mech is leading them, they obviously gain Mech keyword, which means in the Dread Mob, each time they shoot or fight, they get to roll, press that button, and for example they have sustained hits or little hits. Yes, in melee too, in shooting as well, you can pick for them. You can use some stratagems like the bigger shells for bigger gits, and with I believe 6 shots a model, yeah, that's actually quite a decent amount of shots from full 6 to consider, spending 1 CP for cool strat and having damage 2 shooting the 2 wounds. Imperial Knights on 5-ups. Like, it's actually cute, it's actually fun. Obviously in the Bully Boys, it's no brainer, they have so many good strats there. In the Warhorde, -1 to wounds, great. In the Speed Freaks, you can put them in a truck or in a battle wagon and give their leader the enhancement to charge after moving, after disembarking. Super, you now have a Land Rider, 65 Land Rider in form of a truck. Cool missile. In the Green Tide, you can put on their leader an enhancement that gives them, I believe, that they always count above 10 models, which gives them simply reroll once to save, which is also great. Like, if you're already playing Green Tide, whatever detachment you're playing, you probably won't take Meganobs because they're priced to move. They are super efficient in what they're doing, being resilient, tough bricks of immovable orc mass. So if you're already running Green Tide, yeah, put that enhancement on their leader and enjoy even tougher Meganobs. The only one where they don't get anything is the Hunt. But still, having, while all your squeaks and everything rushes forward, having some slower unit that moves slowly and controls the middle of the board. It's always amazing. And in the Dread Mob, you can give the Big Mech enhancement for stealth. So suddenly your Meganobs, they have stealth. Amazing unit, great overall. I would put Big Mech in Mega Armor in the A tier because, well, either him or the Warboss in Mega Armor will be definitely in your army for the enhancements for them. But since you have choice of two of them, they kinda, compete against each other. And I think there's no clear winner. If the Big Mech was cheaper, it would be the Big Mech. The Warboss is also great, but I think you really want to lean into the resilience and durability of the Meganobs, and he helps them more offensively. So there's that. But yeah, I think I could put both of them in the S tier. Honestly, I could put everything from the A tier in the S tier, but yeah, I think that it just needs to be said that the A tier is super competitive stuff that just needs, not universal. Like if you put everything from the A tier into your army, it may not work together as well as everything from the S tier, but picking things from the A tier will probably work fantastic. Okay, now on to the buggies, and we will start from the top or from the bottom. Okay, I will start with the bottom. Rockatrack Squeak Buggy. It's terrible. First of all, it costs 100 points. So it costs as much as 3 Devcoptas. It has nowhere near possible damage as Devcoptas. Its datasheet ability is super weak. The whole model is not very resilient. It's... The 100 point price tag is a mistake. They toned a little down its shooting because it has indirect fire, but Ork indirect fire means you will be shooting at 5-ups. It ignores cover, cool, but with 6+d6 shots, you are averaging 1.5 hits that need to wound. Sorry, no. Not for 100 points. If it was 75, I would probably rank it higher, and then people would probably be spamming it and hoping that, well, together maybe it will score something. But as is, no, the Rockatrack Squeak Buggy unfortunately has been done dirty. On the complete opposite, we have the Shock Jump Dragsta, and this one is only works in the Speed Freaks detachment, and in it it's amazing. It's amazing because, well, first of all, it has surprisingly great shooting, and I don't only mean the fact that it has hit 3+ ballistic skill in Ork army, basically, super last cannon shooting with precision and devastating wounds, which is amazing. But it also has rocket launchers, which are, as always, D3 plus blast. So it has very decent weapons. It costs only 75 points, which is, I don't know why this and Rockatrack Squeak Buggy is 100, but okay. And each time it advances, you can basically redeploy it wherever you want on the board. Obviously 9 inches away from the enemy, but yeah, you can advance in the Speed Freaks, you can then still shoot, so you can always position it to find the character you want to try to snipe for fun. In Speed Freaks it's amazing, everywhere else it's not so much, because it can't shoot after advancing, after making its movement. It's a great piece to score secondaries, for everything, Your opponent hides his character with his squad somewhere behind the building, you just teleport and try assassinate. You try behind enemy lines. You can do so many things. Like, if it had a smaller base, it would be amazing, and the Speed Freaks would be competitive. Speed Freaks aren't as competitive, although I still want to try and play them with Shock Jump Dragstas. But yeah, I'm putting it in A because in that one detachment, it's very, very appealing. It's super cool. The rest buggies would probably go something like that, honestly. Like 75 to 80 points is not really that good for their shooting they provide. They have such abilities like -1 to hit if you hit something. So maybe I would actually put it something like that. But still, they have quite a huge bases. It's 150 mil oval base. It's not really that great. Now, I think, I'm sorry, every single one of them is in the C tier. It is doable, but if you just take one as an addition, it will probably die, give your opponent some victory points for bring it down or something like that, and yeah, and don't do much. But obviously in Speed Freaks they can be a little better. The Speed Freaks have some cool stratagems with lethal or sustained, and I believe the Boom Daka or the other one, the Mech Special, it already has sustained hits, so we can combine with lethal hits. It's okay, it's still quite fun, but no, the Shock Jump Dragsta is definitely 2 points higher than the rest, and he's still not an S tier, unfortunately. The War Boss, I honestly think in the Speed Freaks he's kind of necessity, although he will be like a B tier. Like, you can put enhancement on him. In a War Horde, for example, you can give him 4-up Feel No Pain. And it's honestly the best enhancement to put on him, because the Speed Freaks one are less appealing, except for the Disembark after movement. Yeah, he's not as lethal, but he gives flat out 6 advance. So for the water and for shooting, for bringing the war bikers closer, I think it's okay. It's okay. Not standalone. Maybe him and the Warbikers should be in the A tier, but again, because we saw how good the A tier is, I think we just need to remember the B tier is good. Like in general, the Ork Codex is very good. So all those tiers are really like 1-up compared to other codexes. Burna Boys. Cool unit with not enough support from characters currently. I think only Painboy can join them. A little underwhelming. They do have fine shooting, although 1 per 5 always has to be a spanner. You can only have 10 in total. I think they're fine, honestly. I always like them. You have open-topped vehicles. You can just put 10 in the truck and enjoy some carnage. I believe they cost 60 points now, which isn't the end of the world. You can, again, put 10 and do a barbecue truck in the middle of the board just for lols. You can't, however, do such thing with tank bastas. Tank bastas are overcosted. They are grossly overcosted because you have 3 missile launchers, 1 tank hammer, 1 rocket pistols, and 2 bomb squeaks for 110 points. They get +1 to hit and +1 to wound against targets, but if I think that for 10 points more I can get Kilakans that every one of them has both shooting and fighting, and here with tank bastas I need to charge to use my 1 tank hammer, but the rest don't want to. They are very squishy. They go straight to the C because, well, you can find play for them, but yeah, like it's a little hard. Warbikers, I like them. I used to run a lot of knobs on warbikes. I think that they're also currently B, but like in the Speed Freaks, they are the Cult of Speed detachment. They are A, like they're much better than in the rest. But still, even in that detachment, like if the Cult of Speed made them S tier, they would be in an A tier. I hope it makes sense. As is, you might consider the max squad of bikers plus the war boss on the War Trek, Death Killer War Trek. for this sweet 6 inches auto advance, 12 inches of movement. Like, they are super fast, super fast. Honestly, I think I should, you know what, in Speed Freaks they might be S tier. They might be S tier, and you might want to do the WAAAGH the first turn to have some defensive for your buggies and to quickly move everything up the board, and then it might actually matter. Enhancements in the cult of speed are also, no, not the enhancements, the stratagems, when they are, you know, 9 inches away and they have sustained 2 or little hits or low little hits would be better on the plane. We'll talk about it soon. I think they are great. I think that also great are the Storm Boys. They're a little expensive. They cost 65 points, and currently for 85 or even 80 points you can have 5 jump pack intercessors who have, for example, free up armor save, although they do have 5 toughness 5, and they can advance and charge with no downside, which is, I think, really cool, especially turn 1 or the turn after the WAAAGH. They are cool utility piece. 65 points is enough for deep strike, you know, to be worth it. I think they are cool. They can work quite nice in every single detachment. Not great in any particular because they don't get, I don't know, only in the Warhorde they have sustained hits. Otherwise they can have a character because Boss Zaxdruk is gone and they never could have any enhancements, so there's that. Knobs, they go straight to the S tier. They are super good because every single knob can have a power claw and you should absolutely do it. Yeah, you basically put them in a truck, put a war boss with them. They are -1 to wound, which is amazing. Then in the WAAAGH they have 5 up invulnerable save, they have ton of attacks, hitting on 3 ups with those power claws thanks to the war boss. 105 points for a unit of 5. And they obviously, you know, ride in a truck in a in the cult of speed. When the war boss can disembark with them, they're also great. Just cool unit, you know. They may be a little overshadowed by Mega Knobs, but they are definitely, you know, quite powerful unit. Obviously in the Bully Boys they go Super Saiyan because they have 2 full battle rounds with 5 up invulnerable save, which is great. Obviously advancing and charging, etc. Quite fun unit, and again 105 points. I think it's very well priced. They can alternatively have a Pain Boy if you want to have feel no pain on them and be cool. Now, a unit that many Ork players love, I used to run a lot of them, the Lutas. I am currently not a fan. They have heavy dev guns and their native ballistic skill is 6 up. They are heavy, as I mentioned, which means that if they remain stationary, they are hitting back on 5s. And yeah, like this edition, many weapons are actually gaining benefit from being heavy. And having 6 up ballistics, it just looks terrible. Also, only 4 of them, similar to Burna Boys, get the dev guns. 1 has to be a spanner. They only have 2 shots a pop, 3 in 24 inches, which isn't amazing. AP -1, strength 8 and damage 2. They are overshadowed by another unit that I think got a great upgrade here, although no rules changes. So I would actually put Lutas, well, they put themselves in the B tier. Yeah, I think they are not worse. They are super cheap. They cost 50 points. This is something they have going for. If they remain stationary, you can put them targeting an objective where they have full rerolls, even in Overwatch, I think. Yeah, like, they are okay. If you get the full rerolls and 5 up base, they are obviously good enough, but you know what's not good enough but great? Gretchen. 40 points for 11 models with 1 proper Ork. They have OC2. They are amazing. If they are on an objective and that's all you want from them, they can give you a CP. Absolutely amazing stuff. They, as I mentioned, have fun interactions with Zodrok, Wartsnaga. They have one cool stratagem in the Dreadmob. Other than that, they're just great. You can't beat having at least one unit in every army just to try to get some CP. The regular mechanic, he is definitely not an S tier, but he might very well be one of the best mechs in the game. He's affordable. He still has, I believe, 4 wounds, so it's quite decent, despite being such a tiny guy. And he gives +1 to hit to Ork vehicles. And since we have a Dreadmob and Ork vehicles can be dangerous, I think he deserves to be in the A tier. I think if you're taking Gorka, Morkan out, or Stompa, you should absolutely take one of those guys. It's definitely worth it for repairing and +1 to hit. Then we have the Pain Boy. I would put him in the S tier because he's amazing. In the Green Tide, you can have him alongside the War Boss. Absolutely love it for that, because now you have 5 up invulnerable save, rerolling once to save, 5 up feel no pain. It's nightmare to chew through, and he has super fun fighting profile. Like, he has the Power Claw, okay, and he has the Earthy Surgeon and Syringe, and this is a precision weapon that I believe has anti-infantry or anti-character. I need to check it. But basically, it has also rule. Wait a second. Yeah, but basically what I'm trying to say, he's good even not only as a buffing piece, but also for one-shotting characters. So he has Earthy Syringe. It's anti-infantry 4-up, extra attacks, precision. Each time an attack made by this model with its Earthy Syringe scores a critical wound against a unit, excluding vehicle units, that unit suffers d6 mortal wounds. So it doesn't have devastating wounds, it has mortal wounds, d6 mortal wounds. Critical against infantry, it's on a 4-up. It's really funny to, you know, kill 6 guardsmen by poking one with a syringe. It's ridiculous. And then 4-up, so it's quite nice chance. It's also precision, so you can one-shot a character from behind. And it's super cool. And other than that, he has a Power Claw, which is cool. It's a regular Power Claw, just like on a knob. He only has 3 wounds. That's a bummer, actually. But still, he goes to the S tier because, yeah, he's amazing. God, I like my Orks. There are different ways to play every army. I like survivability of my pieces. I like the fact that the opponent usually has to put more effort that he was expecting to deal with a unit, because this can often, skew their math, skew their planning, and yeah, I just like it. In your list, it can be A tier or maybe even B tier, but you know what's definitely D tier? Most of the planes, like the Blitza Bomber and Burna Bomber, they are garbage. Like, they can't act before turn 3, basically. Yeah, so there is that, and their abilities is weak. But WAAAGH in WAAAGH in the Cult of Speed is surprisingly good. Like, every single hit, and it has 18 shots, will trigger a critical hit, which is super cool. Like, it's double the crits than usual, because you can access to quite fun stratagems to either have, lethal hits, and he has sustained hits base, so you probably want to have the lethal hits. And now suddenly every single hit is a wound and it's another scored hit, so it's quite fun. It's almost like you are playing Elix of Votan in 9th edition. It's cool. He's not that expensive, you can live with it. Obviously he can't start on the board, but he has a great range. He can be cool distraction piece, if anything else. I'm putting in C tier, it's the, not Blitza Bomber, it's the mech variant. It has surprisingly powerful shooting, with the smashes obviously, and not the teleport blastas, but custom mega blastas, I believe. 4-up invulnerable save, it's a decent set of rules and equipment on a very unwieldy unit to use, because it's a plane. Obviously, orc plays do not have hover. It's sad, but yeah. He's still better than the two bombers, which is sad because I made the Burna bomber. Yeah, although I did some changes to make it posable. What we have then? Big Mac with custom... with shock attack gun. This is the Big Mac I prefer from the two. Because he can join, for example, well, I think all Big Macs can join the Grot guns. He can also join the Lutas. He actually makes sense there because he helps them reroll hits of 1. Lutas don't really need it, but okay. But he has a ranged weapon. And you may say it's very random, it's nothing interesting, but it's AP -4, so it is something. AP -4, damage 6, D6 plus 1 shots plus blast. He has heavy keyword, I believe, so he's hitting on 4-ups. It's not bad weapon. On a 4-up, just to give enhancements to the long-ranged units like ignores cover for Lutas or 2 shots for the mech guns, I think it's worth it. Speaking of mech guns, they're cool. I like them. I think that they are better than Lutas, but not better enough to escape the B tier. It's tough, really. Okay, so single mech gun costs as much as 4 Lutas and their spanner, obviously. It has more wounds total, obviously higher toughness, and a single gun. I think that the most competitive one is the Smasha. Okay. The one I like most is the Bubble Chaka. And the Bubble Chaka is funny because it's very random, from anti-infantry to anti-vehicle. However, in the Dread Mob, you can give it so good stratagems that it doesn't really matter what you're targeting, or rather that every single one of their shots can threaten vehicles, even the large bubble that's typically anti-infantry, because then you have like a lot of shots that go, +1 to wound, +1 damage, and possibly either sustained or lethal hits, or maybe even this -2 to -2 AP on 6s to wound. They can be super threatening in the Dread Mob. Why I like them more than Lutas, not only because of higher AP, but because they're much more mobile. Like, they hit on force. Like, it's funny, they have only 4 inches of movement, but they always hit on force, no matter if they were moving or not. And funny enough, in the Warhorde you can put the Follow Me Lads enhancements on a shock attack gun mech, and suddenly you move 6 inches and you're okay to shoot. Like, my biggest gripe with Lutas is the fact that they are almost no ways of repositioning. I think that mech guns are super cool in the Dread Mob, and I think that they're the very bottom of the A tier, but yeah, in Dread Mob they work. What doesn't work is the new Big Mac. He's super cool model. He looks amazing, especially with the... well, however you build him, he looks amazing. But he's so schizoid, like... he doesn't know what he wants to do. He wants to be a front leader? Probably, yeah. Which I think is... he will never be as good of a front leader as a warboss, for example. He can lead the same units as a warboss. Like, the Big Mac's thing was that they were totally different than warboss. Like, that's why usually the shooty orcs were with Big Mac, fighty orcs were with warboss, and he gives his orcs ability to reroll advances and to move through units and terrain. Which, I mean, he's leading infantry units, so they can move through walls anyway. If you want to move through terrain like containers, then if you're leading a huge unit, they still won't be able because the unit will be too big. So not everyone will probably go on the other side because they still have only 6 inches of movement plus d6 of advance. Then his shooting is meh because he didn't get the memo from the Big Mac, so it's not like that even if he remains stationary, he can hit on a 4-up. No, he has one tractor shot that hits on a 5-up, or he has this Mega Blasta that can blow him up. In fighting, he's okay. He has a 3-up save, which I guess is something. He's, in my opinion, in a C tier. Like, I don't know what I would have to do to actively go for him, unfortunately. But on the bright side, now we go to one of my favorite new datasheets, or maybe not new, definitely, but now one of my favorite datasheets, WAAAGH. They are so much better now. Like, first of all, obviously, poor one for poor Badruk. He was great. I think he still was looking amazing, even for such an old model, same as Zakstruk. They shouldn't go away. But as a result, WAAAGH are now 20 points cheaper, which is actually quite appealing. You pay 80 points for a unit, in fact, of 5 meganobs that usually go for 105. And instead of claws, each of them has great shooting weapons. And they are really great. They are better, in my opinion, than the dev guns on the Lutas. First of all, they have 3 shots always and 4 shots against the closest target. And the closest target doesn't need to be like in 9 inches or 12 inches, just the closest eligible target. It can be 23 inches away from you. So you will be usually shooting 4 shots with them. They have heavy, but their base ballistic skill is 5-up, which means if they move, they're hitting on 5s, which is double what moving Lutas can achieve. However, if they remain stationary, they are hitting on 4-ups, which is great. Their weapons, they have sustained hits. Ammorans can give them little hits. And again, they have knob stat line, which means they have 2 wounds each. Obviously, toughness 5, 4-up save, which is also important when you move with a truck, deploy them in a cover. They are really not as easy to remove as 10 Lutas, for example. And their melee is actually quite nice because they have 4 attacks with strength 5, AP -1 a pop. So they actually have really decent melee for a shooting unit. All things considered, for 80 points, I think they're amazing. I think that they really are. I think that every army may, deploy a single 10-man squad in a truck, let the truck go, deploy them, shoot something, and then, be ready for an overwatch or have a good position to remain there and shoot on a 4-up. I think that they are honestly A tier, so don't try to overdo them, but I am very happy for the person who was writing the Ork Codex. It was a great choice it was great choice of author for the Ork Codex because he recognized that the departure of Captain Badruk would dramatically lower the value overall of the WAAAGH. Now they are cheaper. I think it's cool. I think it's cool because now you may even consider having several units of those. You can have whole pirate armada themed WAAAGH, and it's amazing. I just wish they got the knob keyword, because then in the Bully Boys you would have, different flavors of knobs. The super heavy knobs, the fighty knobs, the shooting knobs, it would just make perfect sense, but then Bully Boys would probably be too good. But yeah, if they had a knob keyword and at least a single leader, it would help them with some enhancements. Now the big boys, really, really big boys. So let's start with the Gorkanaut. No, Morkanaut. It's a tough choice. I think every single one of them is great. They are super cheap. Gorkanaut is 280 points. He goes straight to the S tier simply because you can take 2 Gorkanauts for a single Imperial Knight and just Just laugh at it. Morkanaut is cool. He has a 5-up invulnerable save, although to be honest, you probably will be using the WAAAGH invulnerable save anyway, and he's 15 points more expensive. I'm putting him in the S tier because he's like slightly probably worse than Gorkanaut because he's more expensive, but on the upside, his shooting is really powerful and he gets +1 to hit in the turn in which you called WAAAGH. Obviously Gorkanaut gets +1 to hit with his melee weapon and his 1 extra attack. Yeah, I'm sorry, Morkanaut. Gorkanaut is a little better. Oh boy, Stompa. So, yes, I just put Stompa in the A tier. And I put it in the A tier because there is a game coming on this channel, me against Peter, and I am super worried because I'm playing Bully Boys, Peter will be playing Dreadmob, and Peter will be bringing Stompa, and Stompa with all enhancements, all combos, everything, can be lethal, like really lethal. It has 2-up save, it has 30 wounds, I believe, it has toughness 14, it's super durable, super shooting, and the stratagems in the Dreadmob are ridiculous. It hits on the 4-up because obviously there will be a big mech or even 3 supporting her, and yeah, Stompa is super scary. Is it good? I don't know, but as a psychological play and the possible upside with all those swingy shots, it can like clear several heavy tanks in one go. Yeah, Stompa is worth putting. Like, same as Imperial Knights, it probably won't be the super competitive choice, simply because, you know, it's one big unit, etc. But you can fill the rest of the detachment with other great units, and I think that the Stompa is a super cool way. Like, I think that this codex finally makes Stompa playable. Maybe not good, maybe you will need other units to be remarkable to carry Stompa a little, but it's not like the Stompa is just wasted points. It's great. In other detachments it may be a little overcosted, probably will be, probably definitely is. In the Dreadmob, if you put every single CP into her, she will just clear things, like reroll 2 hits and big shells for bigger gits, and you're golden already. Yep. Okay, Weird Boy. He goes to A tier. I know that many people love him. He's probably the most useful in the Green Tide when you really go with the green with the boys and don't really use vehicles that much. You know, free units with them, like some teleporty goodness. He's definitely like 1,000 times better than the War Boy. He has some decent shooting. Okay, once in a blue moon he will blow himself up. He's at least not very expensive. And teleporting unit of boys is super cool. But that's why the boss Sneakrot is higher, because he has guarantee redeploy when you really need it mid-game. And Truck. Humble Truck goes straight to the S tier. It costs 65 points. It used to be, I think, 50. It was ridiculous back then. It's great. It can carry super heavy Meganobs. It can carry Gretchen. It can carry almost everything in the game, except of Gazgul Trucka and some mounted units. And it's cool. For 65 points, you should always squeeze a truck there, simply to give you some protection against shooting turn 1, some extra mobility. The truck can also hit back. If it has the Wrecking Ball, it can be surprisingly good for tank shock, which is the best stratagem in the entire game, etc, etc, etc. Great. So overall, as you can see, yeah, I think that Orks have surprisingly good roster in the S tier. I'm checking the top S tier, except of kill accounts, which I'm giving to Peter, and I'm still not sure about Sneakrot, because I would have to assemble him and paint him. I think that in the game I will be playing, because I'm playing Bully Boys, I will use Commandos instead of Sneakrot, simply because I don't have his model yet and I don't want to paint it. Obviously Gorkanaut goes to Peter, but yeah, we have everything from the top list. Who would have thought?
So yeah, and at D tier, yeah, the 2 bombers, poor Raktrox, quick buggy, terrain, warboy, use a kill rig. Yes, and the C tier is still okay. Like, these are units that you still want to play. Like, as I mentioned, I'm running commandos next game against Peter. Peter will be running Devcoptas, for example. They're all cool. I know that many people believe that the Drilla equipped buggy should be higher. I think not really. I think that comparing to the Shock Jump Dragsta, it also has rocket launchers. It's supposed to have more shots, but it has D6 plus 1 instead of D3 plus plus 1 plus I don't remember. But the point is, you can, if you roll poorly, have as many shots with one as the other. It's like alarming tank bastas. Yeah, they need a new kit and some new rules. Maybe point cost adjustment. Yeah, and from B tier on, everything is super playable, super worth considering, and cool. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too long. Definitely my throat is a little sore, but yeah, that's my Orky list. I think that the Ork Codex is really great in having really good internal balance. Like, I don't feel that any datasheet there is really standing out as being super bad or being something that you don't want to take ever. Like the buggies, even though I put most of them a little lower, I'm currently really excited about the prospect of Speed Freaks list, and I want to make that work. The Hunt is also super fun list, Green Tide, the Warhorse is good for everything basically. They made Stompa playable, and I think that that's something like, whoever wrote the Ork Codex, you did a great job. Even if the Orks aren't the top of the top armies, they probably will get some points adjustments, for example, for Mega Nobs, etc. I think that the Codex is still win. Even if they will have some nerfs, the overall Codex is so well written in terms of, you know, available compositions, detachments, etc. It's definitely the best Codex this edition. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. Drop a like, and obviously comment if you think something should be higher or lower. I would love to talk with you guys. And for now, have a great day and see you in the next one. Bye bye.